Hello, my name is Max, and I prepared a digest of Ada news for August. But before I start, I ask you to find a way to support Ukraine, because I'm from Ukraine, and we have more than a year and a half of defeating our country from Russia war attacks. It would be very helpful if you find way to support Ukraine. While prepare this digest, I read a few resources. One of them is Reddit, when people share their activity during last months. I found that one of users of Reddit working on missiles that US provide to Ukraine, and this missiles use Ada code. It's very good to have Ada on our site. The news that the next generation of the engine will use C++, and the user said that C++ is not so good as Ada. But I hope that it will be used anyway in other projects. For example, in the Space Technologies special report, there is an article about Adamant framework. As title says, it will be soon open sourced. And the author of this article from Colorado University, it tell us how about the project. This is some tools from International Space Station with very high demand on the speed of execution of safe and security features of the implementation. It requires high performance image processing, high rate control, and integration with other components of the station. And to meet this requirement, they use a dedicated framework called Adamant. Although the chip used in this hardware is just one core ARM Cortex M1 running at 50 MHz and only 4 MB of RAM. The team invented interesting approach to the architecture by using models that specify used component in this tool. They generate a lot of code and documentation from the model, and only 15% written by hand then. And they compared C++ implementation and Ada implementation for this handwritten code, and they choose Ada for two reasons. First, Ada offers error prevention feature not available in C++, and second, Ada include a bare metal multitasking runtime. I think it's Ravenskar runtime. The article describes what Ada is and what benefits Ada provides for particular this project. Rather interesting and promising work, I think. Speaking about publication, I would note that there is two blog posts on Ada core site. First one written by Elsa. She was intern at Ada core, work on formal proofing of device drivers. She analyzed many constructs that Spark doesn't allows to be in the code and alternatives that could be used to express the same functionality. It's very useful if you going to write some low-level stuff to be compatible with Spark, to be proved for absence of errors. I like it very much. Thank you, Elsa, for this work. Another very interesting article by Patrick Rogers, who explains the priority inheritance and priority inversion problems in real-time application. I will not go into details, but I advise you to read this if you working with real-time and priorities, and if you would like to know how to change priority in dynamic way. It's very useful from this area. Speaking about blog posts, I found blog post about Hack. Hack is a toy compiler for Ada. It's pet project of one author. And in this blog post, he tell us that Hack compiler changing from byte virtual machine to generation of native assembler instruction for AMD64 and Windows. If you're interested in compiler development and virtual machine implementation, it's nice reading, I think. Not only enthusiasts improve their compiler, but also professional compilers released this month. I'm speaking about PTC ObjectAda new version of compiler. They still implementing Ada 2011 features. This time they made pre-post conditions for subprogram and type invariants. They provide Linux and Windows compiler for 32 and 64 bits. It's a commercial compiler. You won't be able to download it free, unfortunately. Speaking about compilers, there is news about porting GNAT to Neo RV32 target. This is a RISC-V implementation in VHDL, suitable to deploy it on FPGA chips, and author doesn't have the real hardware. That he tried it on a simulator and asked people if somebody have FPGA to try to get him in touch and to notify if it works or not. The SweetAda is alternative implementation of runtime, as far as I understand, and this is very easy to port to new architecture, I think. Simon Wright worked on compiling GNAT-LLVM for macOS, and he released a beta version of GNAT-LLVM. he provides Arch 64 and x86 version of the compiler. If you don't know, GNAT-LLVM is a combination of GNAT frontend, GNAT-ADA frontend, and LLVM for code generation, LLVM backend for code generation. I haven't tried it, but it's interesting anyway. Meantime, Fabian working on getting GCC 13 in Alire repository. Currently, we have a preview of this compiler for Linux and Windows. And if you wanted to try, you just need to point Alire with a special branch of the index, and then you will have GCC 13 and the index. Fabian promised the macOS release for Intel in short time. Let's wait. Speaking about releases, there was interesting release of BFD library binding. BFD library is a library from BNutils that allows you to read object files or executables in ELF format or COF format into memory, and then manipulate this to find, for instance, line of code for special address or symbol name for some address and address for symbol name, like this. Stefan provides us a simple example how to use this library, how to install it with Alire, and how to get nearest line for given address. Stefan uses this library for his tools, for instance, memory analyzing tools. It's very interesting stuff that let you debug memory consumption in your project, in your program. The idea is that every you instrument the program and every allocation, the allocation is logged into some trace. Then you use the program to analyze this trace and get information for about how much memory was allocated, what part of program allocates what memory, and it's a competitor for Valgrind tool, and it's used for embedded systems, usable for embedded systems. Let me a comment if you're interested in this stuff of. And in the end, there is an interesting news about history of Ada. Some people from ERC channel, Ada channel, managed to get a report of Father 1. It's a very, very huge PDF file. It has 4,500 pages of scanned documents. It's very huge in space. It's about 300 megabytes, and it contains a lot of information, including the design of the proposals to implement these languages. It includes requirement specification and discussion session for requirements, and feedback about implementation of proposed languages and implementation. It's very detailed, and if you're interested in history, you may find this useful for you. That's all for this time. Please subscribe and enable notification. I don't have much video per month, but if you have any comments, please leave it in this comments of this video. Goodbye.